The Backrooms. Liminal spaces. I think we all know what this is. What started as a small post on 4chan turned into one of the biggest online phenomenons that has ever graced this weird, funky world that's known as the internet. If you're watching this video, then you most likely know the original text that accompanied the original image of the Backrooms. But just in case you didn't, here it is. If you're not careful and no clip out of reality in the wrong areas, you'll end up in the backrooms, where it's nothing but the stink of old moist carpet, the madness of mono yellow, the endless background noise of fluorescent lights at maximum hum buzz, and approximately 600 million square miles of randomly generated empty rooms to be trapped in. God saves you if you hear something wandering around nearby, because it sure as hell heard you. This single post blew up, and the Backrooms became a whole thing online. As time went on, people added to the story with different levels, entities, and many other different ways and tactics to survive. Now, something the internet didn't know was brewing up was that a relatively unknown 16-year-old that goes by the name Kane Pixels was cooking up some fire, like some real fire, like oh god, the kitchen's burning down. Backrooms found footage 1 follows a self-insert of Kane Pixels, who in this universe is known as Kane Pints. He and his friends are a group of amateur filmmakers who are filming a shot of some sort of monkey thing.
That was the backroom.
One of the kids says that Kane needs to get a wider shot of the scene they just shot. As he walks backwards, however, he falls through the floor into, of course, the backrooms. He's reasonably confused by this, as to him, he just broke all known laws of physics. He wanders around this extraterrestrial dimension, not knowing the horrors that lie within. Fun fact, if you look at some of the right places, then you can actually see the life form peeking around some corners. After a bit of wandering, he hears a sound behind him, and sees something retreating behind him. He recently gets a tad bit spooked by this.
Someone there?
He disregards this, however, like any smart horror protagonist, and proceeds to move forward. After some more wandering, he sees a few arrows on the wall. He decides to follow what appears to be the first sign of human life, as to hopefully find someone else, but instead comes across a strange mural graffiti on the wall. It contains a drawn-on window, an odd-looking face, and the text, "Don't move, stay still." Now, if you're wondering what "don't move, stay still" could mean, then I'd say it's probably referring to an odd... Kane runs from the silly-looking fella and occasionally turns the camera around to get a good look at the life form, which also helps us, the viewers, get a good look at what this thing is. It's a tall, humanoid creature with wires poking out of its various areas of its body. Its head changes between the different shots we get of it, but it looks like some sort of flat head with a hole in it. It makes, quite frankly, terrifying sounds. And all of this adds up to a very good reason why Kane would be scared of this thing. After some running, he finds a hole in the floor, and with no other choice, decides to jump down into the abyss. Fun fact, if you see the life forms, you can see the life form arm clipping through the wall display. In fact, it's not even animated, it's just T-posing. After jumping down the hole, we get to see a recreation of one of the most famous liminal space images, which is the liminal basement. He goes up the stairs and enters a new style of architecture and style for the backrooms. It has white walls and a roof and wooden floors. He sees a singular chair and a window, then sees another recreation of a famous liminal space image, this one being the liminal hotel. After walking around for a bit more, he sees, well, I'll just play the clip.
What the fuck? This isn't real. This isn't real.
I love how huge this chasm is. It's just a pure definition of megalophobia to me. After even more walking, he finds an exit door. He excitedly opens it and then climbs up the stairs. Little does he know, exit doesn't mean exit from the backrooms, it means exit from this type of backrooms. After walking around even more, he sees a chair get thrown at the wall at immense speed, which can only mean one thing: the life form is right on his trail. Kane begins running, with the howling of the life form not getting any quieter. After hiding in a crevice in the wall, we get a great look at this thing, and it's crouching down now, which makes it even more terrifying. We hear its breathing, and Kane retreats further into the crevice. He sees a hole, but he can't see the bottom of it. With time shortening, Kane decides to... He drops the camera, and it falls down into the pit. It's revealed that the pit would have actually led outside, albeit not in a way that he would actually make it through. Later on in the series, Kane revealed that this part was retconned. In canon, we don't know where this hole went. In the description for this video, we get a link to an unlisted video. This video is named ma1190archive.tar. This video compromises of various images of the backrooms and people doing experiments on the backrooms. The main image to focus on in this video is this one, which details a room in the backrooms with a red square along with a text. Due to the elevation discrepancy between panel 225 and 234, a null KX field is created. A null field is something that is yet to be revealed but will be important to the plot much later. Backrooms, the third test, begins with a rather odd robot voice telling us some very important information. In 1988, July 2nd to be exact, a company known as Async tested what is known as the Low Proximity Magnetic Distortion System for the third time. The public does not know about the system, and Async describes this project as a way to solve future housing and storage problems. It is revealed that Async and the Department of Energy are in cahoots about this whole thing. Granted that the government gives them enough funding, they will be able to experiment on what this store will lead to. The character Ivan Beck is also name dropped in this segment. Remember this guy, he will be very important later. The big door, which is known as the threshold, begins starting up. We hear metal clanking and grinding in the background. The plate in the door begins shifting out of reality, and the room gets overtaken by immense yellow light emanating from the portal, and the entire building begins shaking. After it gets a bit too unstable, they decide to turn the portal off, and the third test ultimately fails. Okay. October 17th, 1989. Daisy Bell begins to play in the background as various shots of newer Threshold models appear. It is revealed that this model is the 6th version of the Threshold. We get numerous shots of different behind-the-scenes elements working together to make this thing hopefully work this time. The machine begins to start up, and once again it looks like the entire building will blow apart any minute after a short period of time. The plate once again gets fully coated in yellow light, and the lights in the room turn off as they try and funnel all the energy to getting this portal open. We hear many alarms go off in the background until we cut to some sort of map of the backrooms being made. Various people argue about whether they should turn it off or not, or try to push through. Before they could make a choice, however, the portal successfully opens and first contact with the backrooms has been made. In the description of this video, a video labeled faultline.mov is linked. This video is a real-life news broadcast that happened in real life. It details the Loma Prieta earthquake, which happened in 1989 on the 17th of October at 5:13 at night, the exact time of the threshold opening. This news report provides us with a map of the magnitude and the earthquake in the various parts of America, and the part where it is most concentrated is presumably where the Async facility is located. The date for this video is 3rd of February, 1990. The video begins by showing us various different missing persons posters, all of which are presumably no-clipped into the backrooms. One of these posters even feature a 2-year-old, which is really sad to think about. We then get showed a chart of missing persons cages, and there's a red line marked, which is the date where the threshold opens. When the blue line hits the red line, the graph exponentially increases, which means that the threshold opening has caused numerous missing persons cases, meaning these two realities have become intertwined with each other. These other spikes over here are the dates of the 3rd, 4th, and 5th test, presumably. We zoom into the threshold as the music in the background crescendos, and I have to say, the music for the series is incredible. Like, if you haven't listened to it yet, you need to do it. It's a life-changing experience. Anyways, we then cut to some footage of a group of people exploring the backrooms, wearing hazmat suits. It's safe to assume that these are Async researchers, probably because of the Async logo on the back of their body. One of the members are holding a red rope, most likely so that they can find their way back to the threshold after this expedition is over. After some walking, we we see a hole in the roof leading to another floor of the backrooms. This confirms that there are multiple floors of the backrooms, which we get a bit info on much later. After some more walking, the researchers see some kind of black mold covering the floor and wall. After zooming in, it becomes evident that this mold is in fact covering a human body. One of the researchers comment on how this could be some kind of fungus, because it looks like that. We hear another say that this wasn't in the last expedition, meaning that this body is new, like it came in here while they were researching. We get a bit closer to the corpse, and it looks like various portions of the body have rotted away, while other parts seemingly were sustained. If you look close enough, then you can make a safe assumption that this person is one Nicholas Bolton, who was someone we see on the missing person posters at the beginning of the video. As the video ends, we get flashed some interesting things. We get two images shown of what appears to be bacteria under a microscope. This becomes important later on. We then get shown a blue screen with text that says, "If anyone, blame him." It's very possible that this him we hear could be Ivan Beck, who is, as mentioned earlier, the vice director of the Async research facility. The phrasing "if anyone" means that if there's one person to blame, then it's Ivan. Not the main director, the vice director, showing that Ivan will have a large role in this story. Whew. The video begins with an informational video regarding the backrooms, the threshold, and other things surrounding this whole endeavor Async is doing. This whole project is known as Project KV31, and the name that most people call the backrooms in this universe is the Complex, which is honestly a pretty awesome name, so I'll be calling it that from now on. The video has many cuts from segment to segment, but the main stuff you need to get from this video is this. You cannot approach the threshold without supervision, and you cannot enter the complex alone, as all expeditions in it are to be comprised of at least 3 people. We then cut to footage dated February 29th, 1990. Now, obviously, this would be fine if 1990 was a leap year, but it wasn't, and I doubt that Kane would just make a mistake like that, even in the description of this video. This means that the threshold's opening screwed with reality so much that time is warping around, which we will get more info on very soon. This footage's cameraman was Peter Tench. Remember this man, he will be very important later on. Peter walked through the threshold to see the 2 other co-workers on the other side, ready to begin an expedition into the complex. After some walking, we see the same room that had a hole in its roof from earlier. We explore this room a little bit, and then we hear a crowd coming from the next door.
Guys, do you hear this?
Peter is obviously a bit confused by this, as there shouldn't be a crowd of people in the complex, so he walks closer to it to see if he can find where all the noise is coming from. But as he gets closer, it's just a wall. There's no speaker or crowd or anything. Peter gets confused and asks the other researchers if they are hearing this. But just as he's asking them,
Hey!
just like that, his co-workers disappear. Peter runs out, hoping to see if there's anyone there, but to no avail. We then follow a frazzled Peter for the rest of the video running around the complex, trying to find his way back to the threshold. The rooms of interest in this segment are this big theater-style room with some sort of debris on the floor, and this cramped room with first wallpaper, featuring 3 wheelbarrows, one of which being at least vertically stretched out, an axe, and even a house painted on one of the walls. After even more walking, he finds his way back to the cross-section style walls of the area right outside the threshold. However, he doesn't find the threshold. Instead, he finds this big room, almost like an outpost. He finds the entrance to it and manages to open it somehow immediately, which means that this was most likely built by Async. He walks around inside a little bit, and you can see what looks like a barrier for the threshold. Before you can analyze anything in this room for too much, alarms go off, covering the entire room in red light, leaving Peter to wait until something happens. Async decides to bring in the corpse for analysis and gets this scientist to talk about it for 2 minutes, about funny-looking bacteria. Jokes aside, the professor begins by stating off the obvious. The subject is male, it's about 18 to 21 years old, and the time of death is likely 5 days ago, but he claims that it's hard to tell. He says the cause of death was likely malnutrition, and he was able to recover the digestive tract, which is just... that's beautiful. But then he says this.
So, things start to deviate from what we would consider to be natural.
This line just sends sends chills down my spine. He talks so formally, yet the sentence itself makes it feel like this body is truly not normal, considering that this guy knows what he's talking about. I just can't describe how good of a line this is. Anyways, the professor claims that the process in which the body decayed seems to be stunted, as in parts of it were completely covered in the substance while others were just stayed in place and were sustained. He at first thought that the substance covering the body was an aggregated collection of Pseudomonas fluorescens, but upon closer inspection, he claims that it's probably Hay bacillus bacteria, which is very important, as it's not a stretch to say this Hay bacillus bacteria is also probably what made up the life form from Found Footage 1. He then goes on to say that he really does not understand what to make of the subject, and to quote him,
Mr. Beck, may I ask where this subject came from?
this shows two things. First, that this project is completely under wraps. No one can know about it even if they're being hired for it. And second, Ivan proposed to bring in the corpse and was standing next to the doctor this whole video, meaning that he is very careful about who knows what about this project, meaning that it probably has some meaning to him. We then cut to a TV quickly flashing between different images that I quite frankly do not have the energy to lift this list off. You can search them up yourself. They mainly comprise of space, advancements in science and bacteria, and other sciencey things. And there's also this one kid. He looks a little funny. The main thing to take out of the sequence is the end of it, where it shows an image of the threshold overlaid on an upside-down image of the sunset on an ocean. This will be important later, so just keep this in the back of your mind. Also, this whole video, we get shots of the corpse, and yeah, I'd agree with the professor when he said this isn't natural. This weird growth on his right foot, the somewhat melted face, and the whole thing is in grayscale, meaning all the fluid in the body has just been removed. I feel like I could pick it up and crumble it in my hands like burnt food. Now knowing that unusual activity can occur in the complex, Async decides to set up cameras around the cross-grid section to monitor if anything strange happens, just at the threshold on March 5th. For convenience sake, I'll call this area lateral division, as that's what the video calls it. The rest of the video is a compilation of all the motion alerts sent out. The main two to focus on are this one, where we hear loud clanking sounds at 1 in the morning, and this one, where something peeks around the corner and heads off after realizing there's a camera looking at it. Even when the video tries to get a better look at it, it just looks like a black blob crawling on the ceiling. This right here is Async's first confirmation that there's something else alive in the complex, and certainly not their last. So, what'd you think? I'm a 14-year-old with unhealthy obsessions, and this is what I usually do when I have too much free time during school holidays. I know this isn't the type of content that I usually make, and I just casually drop the voice reel out of nowhere, but I really like video essays and analysis YouTubers, and I've always kind of wanted to enter this sphere by talking about one of my favorite subjects. Yes, of course, this video will get a part 2. I'm not leaving you alone in the dark for this. Meanwhile, like and subscribe. Yeah, click that notification bell to get full ready on the new backrooms. Yeah.